Hello, it's me. The post ooh and ah live from South Carolina. Hopefully, the oohing and awing will be over. It's scaring my bootsy. Mike Menser, you got something for me, big man? PJ, is that you from the correctional facility? PJ Braun? I'm doing better than I deserve, Garrett. How are you? Where do you live, Kaizen Productions? The broccoli heads were blowing their hands off, trying to light the fireworks and throw them, trying to be slick. Matty Earl, hello to my friend in the UK. Christopher, the Italian stallion Comatini. My test levels without gear are about 374 in a range of 250 to 1200. Last two times I got them checked, but I'm able to function pretty well without higher mid-level test levels. They never get old, the stories, the Meowman and Big Lenny stories. Ooey and gooey. No, Maddie, that my female romance, we parted ways in December. She got weird. Things were going great. I'll be honest, in the past, maybe I exhibited some beta male tendencies or was passive aggressive, but not this time around. And everything was going great. And then she just stopped contacting me and ghosted me, as the broccoli heads say. But she said she's not fit for romance. She didn't disclose certain things, personal things she had going on, which was weird. I don't know. So we parted ways. The dating scene here, Mike Menser, I don't know. I don't partake in it. But when I did, it was pretty poor, pretty subpar. This, not bad. 45 years young soon. That's not the real Brad Murray. And I knew it wasn't last time. I was just trolling Brad by letting on that I thought it was. My female friend decided maybe not to go MGTOW. Maybe she's writing the you know what carousel. The C blank blank K carousel, if you catch my drift. We'll keep it PG so minors can watch this later. That's what I think she did. Morning, Flex Kavana. Where is it that you're saying good morning? It's evening here, 8:30 in the PM. Pre-workout nowadays, I take. I bought something on clearance not too long ago. It's a Mr. Hyde stimulant-free, just a pump formula, and usually creatine, citrulline, some electrolytes. So stay away from the caffeine. Opinion on gluten-free diet. If it's out of necessity, meaning you have celiac disease, then go for it. But I watched a video a while ago. Was what the hell's his name? Rich Gaspari was getting ready for the Arnold, I believe, when he competed. And he way back, this was the 80s, and he said he had gluten-free macaronis because gluten was estrogenic in the body. So I thought that was interesting. But I eat plenty of gluten. I mean, if it bothers you, or like I said, if you have celiac disease, but otherwise, go for it. Yeah, secret sauce. I had a massive panic attack about a month ago on caffeine, and I said, no, enough. It was just awful. I've taken MK677. Can't say that I saw anything great from it. It tasted nasty. It's supposed to be a growth hormone secretagogue and help with sleep and improve your appetite, but I didn't see either of those effects. Mr. Coyote Fit, thank you very much. How far am I from I-95 rather? Couple hours northwest. So I don't know where you're headed, which direction, but I'm off I-85. So I'm in the northwest tip of South Carolina. I'm not on the coast, so. I was just telling somebody the other day about how I worked in the haunted house. Is Anavar really hair loss free? Plenty of websites say yes and no. I don't know, honestly, if it's a DHT derivative. It's going to definitely raise your LDL cholesterol, lower your HDL, and you got to take a lot of it. It's expensive. Really, I mean, unless you're very lean, you're doing a show, bodybuilding competition, I wouldn't mess with it. But I don't know about the hair loss. I know things like Masteron, Tren, Winstrol definitely contribute to hair loss. Do I take DHEA supplements? No, but I'm considering it. High Intensity Health on YouTube, Mike something. He promotes DHEA. He did a couple of videos on it and were pretty informative. Evan O'Brien. I watched most of Brad's live. I didn't really hear him mention me more than once or twice. I did skip through some parts, but I don't know what you're referring to, what he said about me. Tyrannoball, T-ball? No, I've taken a lot of D-ball and I liked it. Don't worry about your hair, Butters. Plenty of cookie cutters have hair, but only the very few can become freaks. Does turkesterone have any known side effects? Too early to tell. I mean, I don't know how many studies there are on it, and I'm not sure it's going to have any beneficial effects. I think it's repackaged beta ectosterone, which was popular in the 80s and 90s, a supplement, like a plant sterol. I remember I was a naive teenager. I bought it from GNC. Universal Nutrition made it. It was called Legal Sterol Complex, and I bought it like an idiot. No, I don't think the negative heart side effects from the caffeine were because I was abusing it. I topped out at 250 milligrams, and I took it under the same circumstances, and I was doing it for weeks, and all of a sudden I had a panic attack, so I don't know. No, I wouldn't have backed down from the broccoli head. Brad said I always defend Lenny. I don't think that's true. On here, there's times where I'm not overly critical of them. I mean, but I don't think I always agree with them or defend them. Is my stream going well? Somebody said it's freezing. I got a good connection here, so I don't know. I think I'm doing HIT Mentor style training now. Me and Stefan at the layer, we went back to it. I think it's a good way to train for certain periods, where I'm at in life at my age and wanting to be more minimalistic with my training. I've been liking it. Why does Lenny crack under pressure? Maybe he had a mind. His mind was altered due to Phenibut or something like that. I would go with the Bradford Murray Adolf Hitler haircut if I had hair, not the broccoli head. The slicked back Bradford Murray cut's what I would go with if I had a nice head of hair like that. Ever wish I joined the military? I wish I was eligible now. I would definitely consider it, but I passed the age bracket for it, I think. But I definitely would consider it if I was able to join the military now. But if I could go back in time, maybe I would have pursued it and followed through with it. Because really, I have no trade, no skills. I've done Nordic hamstring curls, but I haven't done them in a while. I've tried them before in the past, Matthew. Um, it's a tough movement for me. Nordic hamstring curls or the what's the other one? Glute ham raise. It's a tough exercise. I think because I have spinal curvature, anterior pelvic tilt, so it kind of strains my back. Peptides versus SARMs. Thanks for the $2 holler, Real Delmar. No, we shouldn't Baker act, Glenn. He's a national treasure. He gives some good knowledge from time to time. He's going to probably collab with Jay soon. Things are just getting good and interesting, so no. Peptides versus SARMs, like I said, Rad 140 worked for me. I haven't messed with too many peptides, so I can't speak on those. Yeah, I know it's never too late for trade schools. A possibility. G. Frankovich, which branch of the military are you in? Who said I'm Letty's lapdog? Mike Menser, there's a church in Houston, Texas. It's called Baraka Church. Pastor, his name's Pastor Theme. His dad was Colonel Theme from Dallas Theological Seminary. I consider myself a part of their internet ministry, so I study from them and I listen to sermons. There's a couple good Christian channels, like with Charles Stanley, David Jeremiah. I need to find a church. I was considering going to a few. I just not into the big mega churches. And if I go to their website and they have like social issues, if you catch my drift that they're referring to, it kind of turns me off from attending. But I'm not, we're not to forsake assembling together. It's a sin technically, not gathering together with other believers. But I like to think I'm doing that here because there's believers in this live stream. So Brad said I'm a failure because of Lenny. What's the definition of a failure? Define success. That's another thing. Is it strictly materialistic? What you have, what you own? It's what's here and what's here that counts. Well, Mike Menser, my thoughts are there probably aren't very many good church women left. They're there for other reasons. Do you think training every other day with 2 body parts a session is better for growth because you have more recovery days? Yeah, that's basically what I've been doing. Mike Menser, there's plenty of audio footage on here. HIT School, I think, is the channel, YouTube. The guy was a friend of Mike Menser's, but geez, heck, he was like saying to train once every 5 days and once every 6 days and once for maximum recovery, which I think that's going a little overboard. But I think every other day with 2 body parts a session is great. And those days you're not lifting, hit some cardio, mobility work. Maybe eat a lot less carbs so you're more insulin sensitive. Success having a mortgage till you're dead and having tattoos and swinging a metal bat at a ball and going to mall on Saturdays and going to do the yard work on a Sunday with a joint. I'm not benching much, Matty Earl. I actually been staying away. I've been doing more hammer strength, plate loaded stuff. My bench is just shot. I don't know what happened. Shoulder press, the hammer strength. I went up to 3 plates and a quarter the other day after doing chest. So my bench is trash. I just don't. My upper body pushing strength is just going down to the tubes. I guess my age, subpar test levels, but my legs. I feel like I could squat a lot if my low back's up to it. If I train push pull legs, how far apart should I do the workout again? I mean, you could do, say, Monday you do push, Wednesday pull, Friday legs. You could throw in like an auxiliary day or an arm day, maybe after legs or somewhere in between. Once a week, hit each body part. That's plenty of time to recover. 7 days, even 5 days. Yeah, I think you could do chest every fifth day. Big Lenny's in the chat, everybody. The real Big Lenny. If Brad entered a church, would he burst into flames? Have the holy water ready. Thanks again for the $5 shekel donation. Real Delmar. I don't know. Brad confided some things to Lenny and I in a text that he's somewhat of a believer. He was rather vague, but I was kind of surprised. No, that's the real Lenny Butters. Legs every fifth day. If you're recovered, if all the soreness is gone, and if you're doing like a heavy compound day the first day, and then on the fifth day you're doing more isolation, high rep stuff, you could do something like that. I think we really overthink this weight training business, people. I mean, you got to experiment and see what works for you. I needed to do more high reps for legs. I think that's why they didn't grow. Same thing with Lenny. We were too focused on going heavy, but not high reps. And I know myself personally, I didn't keep the tension on. And I thought lunges were for sissies, but I should have been doing more lunges, just more volume for legs, I believe. Tips on growing the lower chest. Usually it's easier to develop because bench and decline. Throwing some dips, some heavy weighted dips. You could do that. You could do dumbbell twist press and really squeeze the lower pecs, but I don't. It's kind of like spot reduction when people think they could just lose fat around their waist. I just think it's genetic. How you're genetically predisposed is how it's going to develop. PJ. Spill what beans, that guy 6. Sean, congrats on the second kid, but my advice is don't find time, make time. Prioritize it. Get up 5 minutes earlier, even if you just read a devotional. You're driving to work, get you a podcast. There's free podcast apps. Listen to a sermon. Say, you got downtime in the car on your lunch break. You can listen to an audio version of the Bible that goes through chapters, get you through it in a year. There's plenty of good sermons you can listen. That's what I do every day. You have to. There's so much. Think of how many thoughts go through our brain every day. And if you're not getting, spiritual nourishment, all the garbage is going bombarding your brain. That's why we get doubts and we get scared. We get worried. We can't pay the bills. I'm going to die. What happens after death? So it's what you feed in your brain and the right lobe of your soul, as my pastor used to say. When I was dieting down, when I did it in Florida, my carbs were very low because I pretty much did my own diet and had somebody help me peak. But up here, I worked with Trey Hodge, and he had me doing more carbs. He had me doing cheat days initially on Saturdays for the first half of the diet. And then I went to a refeed day. The carbs got kind of low, like 100, 150 towards the end, which for somebody my size was low. But I was doing, about that low the whole way through in Florida when I was doing my own thing. Thoughts on the Nathan's hot dog eating contest? Hey, I give that guy credit. It disgusts me. I would vomit my brains out eating that many hot dogs. The taste of them, because there's a lot of like seasoning in them. But it is impressive. It's not a cookie cutter because that what's his name, Joey Chestnut, he wins all the time, and that other Asian guy won before him. So, but if they're going to have that on ESPN, which I didn't watch it, I don't know, is it on ESPN? They should have bodybuilding back on and some other things on there. I don't know if they show strongman even. I don't have ESPN, but if they're going to have that type of stuff, then they might as well have some different variety than they already do. Besides WNBA, I'm sure they show that. My pronouns. I don't know. It's the most ridiculous thing. Yeah, there you go. Meow/man is my pronouns. PJ has great shoulders and arms, but his chest is trash. What else are you doing for chest? How often should someone close grip bench? Well, what are your goals? I was doing them pretty regularly back prior to my 650 bench. And I think I abandoned them once I got into more of the bodybuilding type training. Once I actually started competing, I don't think I did them much because it hurt my shoulder. But you could throw them in on, if you're doing like a chest, shoulder, tries, or an arm day, you could throw them in, or maybe alternate to where you're not doing on the same week as a flat bench or an incline to kind of save your shoulders. I've heard of the Book of Enoch, but I've never looked into it. Yeah, I had vomit all over me. That's what. But yeah, the police officer asked if I was a chef after I G'd out somewhere off Okeechobee Boulevard in West Palm. I skipped through parts of Brad's live. I honestly didn't hear him say that Lenny held me back, which it's preposterous. I don't like blaming people for anything. Held me back from what? I wasn't very, at that age, I was very immature, wasn't very assertive. I didn't have, I lacked the foresight I have now. Just so nobody held me back but myself. I hate people. That's totally false. Because if I didn't train with Lenny, I wouldn't have done 650. I would have went a totally different direction. I wouldn't have trained as hard or as heavy or took as much gear, I'm sure. So, I wouldn't have done that. I could have concurrently been doing like a trade school or college. So that was my decision. I held myself back. I don't have anybody to blame. Derek Prince videos on YouTube. Yeah, I've watched some of them. He was a preacher. I've heard of him. I watched him a while back. I haven't recently. Adding a plate a month to my deadlift. The protocol was just as many warm-ups to work up to the heavy weight I was doing, 6 to 12 reps, the stuff in my face, taking basic androgens, usually test and D-ball or test and anadrol, some DECA. That was it. Just sticking to it week after week. Consistency. I didn't do a powerlifting protocol. I didn't do speed deads. I had no knowledge of bands or chains. I didn't know anything about conjugate training. Just went in there and trained 6 to 12 reps. Same with the rest of the back routine that we went along with the deadlifts. I don't know what happened with Leo exactly. I haven't watched anything in months. Johnny Bravo was the only one I watched. Had a couple of videos. Foul play, if I had to guess, Spartan Motors. I mean, what do you think? The whole thing was just a train wreck of a situation. Biggest cycle I've ever done. I know Lenny and I took 2 grams of test per week with some orals such as Anadrol. And I think I threw Tren in because that was the infamous death stack. So that was probably the biggest. A lot of tests, some Tren, and an oral such as Dianabol or Anadrol. I don't recommend it. Do your research if you're going to do it. Watch your ticker, watch your liver, watch your kidneys. Yep, Nate, that's what I did. Worked up to a top set of 6 to 12. Well, my best ever deadlift was 765 for 4, just because I thought 8 plates looked really awesome on the bar, and I wanted to see if I could do it, and I did it. When we started training, Lenny and I, we did maybe two working sets. So you can imagine a lot of warm-up sets because of the weight we were moving. But once we actually did, it was 2 sets of bench heavy, a couple sets of incline. We didn't do pec deck. I think we did dips heavy, and then we were on to like triceps, skull crushers, close grip bench, maybe cables, but not much volume, couple sets. The compound lifts, 4 to 6, 4 to 8, 4 to 10 reps. Went a little higher on like barbell curls or hammer curls. Well, we didn't film anything back then, Mike Paul. I wish I would have. That's why I don't do much these days. I mean, kind of just we didn't. It's unfortunate for us. We were doing that in a different era because we're moving hellacious amounts of weights and from time to time screaming at people in the gym, getting thrown out of gyms. I've had bouts with elbow bursitis, Justin, especially back then because I was getting so strong so quick, but everything kind of resolved itself. And nowadays I have a little pain in here. That's why I wear the sleeves. But overall, my joints are in pretty good shape. Yeah, that's about right. 6 to 8 work sets per muscle. But like I said earlier, even on legs, I think that was the reason our legs didn't respond as much because they could have used a little more volume. Yeah, we didn't focus so much on eccentrics or mind muscle connection. Just branch warn, yeah, just moving weight. But I was told by people like Lou watching me squat, I had excellent squat form and depth, and I was squatting 5, 6 plates. So it just goes to show you. I mean, Lenny and I built a good amount of mass without worrying about eccentrics and flexing the opposing muscle. You move big weight for, more than a triple, like a typical powerlifting protocol, 4 to 6, 8, 10 reps. You're gonna get big muscles. Yeah, band pushdowns I heard may help with elbow pain. I haven't talked to Prince Andrew in person or via text since the Olympia in 2018. Not that we have any sort of beef or anything. It's just I'm up here. But the podcast, Brad said the other day that Prince Andrew has the equipment. So it would just be a matter of everybody coordinating a time and getting down there. Jay, Lenny, and whoever else. Brad's not going to go sit in on a podcast if Jay's there, but Lenny will. Dale Chance probably heading down there. I'm sure if they worked out a time, they'd get Dale Chance on a podcast. They could make it happen for one night. I'm sure Andrew would do that if he has the equipment. Yeah, I agree, Mike. I mean, Lenny's got 30,000 subscribers. The Delray Misfits still have a ton. It's a waste. It's not like me. I don't have that type of following. I'm an ancillary misfit. So, and they're all down there. So just a matter of coordinating it. They could do it. Not as frequent as the old days, obviously, but I mean, they can get together on a podcast once a month or filming bi-weekly. I don't see why not. Yeah, Lenny would have reacted differently back in the days when we were bouncing, but It's like Kenny Rogers song. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away. You guys troll good men. I can't stand that. Like who? Who would win? Me and Big Lenny versus Warlord and Barbarian. Those guys were tougher because they were actually in the business, taking bumps. I mean, getting thrown around by guys their size. But I heard the Barbarian is a very, very tough guy, and I'm sure the Warlord is too. He was more quiet, but the strength, those guys, a lot bigger and taller than me. Weight wise, I was in the same ballpark, but those guys are taking bumps. Those guys are tough as nails. Look at Ric Flair. I honestly do think Genova had genetic structure to be a decent bodybuilder, PJ. Who's fighting McCuck December 26, 2023? Well, based off that video I saw, maybe John Bravo or the Southern accent. I don't know who he was doing a Southern accent. Somebody that's exploiting the death of that guy, that YouTube guy that died. And McCuck's rant, he was doing an impression of a Southern YouTuber. I don't know who that was, but maybe we can get him to box him, or John Bravo. Last time I saw Genova was at the Olympia in 2018. Vince Goodrum, yeah, he can go up against McLeod. We could do it in an AEW ring since he's working there now. Better yet. My mental health is great. I have my ups and downs. It's a normal part of life, but got to stay heavenly minded, Famer 10. My arms were like 21 inches at my heaviest. 19-inch arms at 225 is pretty good. Joe Aesthetics, yeah, that's the guy that died. Who's taller, Lee Priest, Dale, or Frodo? Who's Frodo? Lee Priest is 5'4". Dale's about my height, or maybe a little bit shorter. So Frodo, I don't know. Yeah, Genova should run for president in 2024. Seems like everybody else and their brother is. Why do I think Prince still hangs around Jay? I don't know. I mean, they've known each other longer than, I haven't known Jay. Only met him a few times, but I mean, those guys go back 9-10 years maybe. So I don't know. I have no idea. What do you think has the most overall mass? The triceps. Skull crushers. Some variety of them. You could do them on the floor. You can do them on an incline bench. But I would say that. Followed by overhead dumbbell extension. I think it's a good movement. Good evening, Meowman. Would you say the safest compounds are Test, Primo, Anavar, and Masteron? I'd say safest. None are completely safe. I mean, you may not notice overt side effects, but internally, trust me, things are going on. If I had to say two, I'd say Test and Primobolan. Anavar really negatively skews your lipids. Masteron converts to DHT, so you're going to affect your prostate, thinning hair, go bald. It's a great compound. I love Masteron. It was a must use for me when I was getting ready for competitions. And Anavar towards the latter. I don't think I've ever taken Primabone, but I heard it's one of the more mild. And then, of course, Test, because that's what they give you at TRT. Jay has dirt on Andrew. Did Genova ever do any impressive lifts in my presence? Not in my presence that I saw. He ran around the locker room naked at LA Fitness and scared my clients. I remember that. I don't know. Maybe Pomps is in the chat and he can enlighten us why he ran out of the Las Vegas lounge without saying anything to anyone. Whatever feels better on your elbows, Christopher. I've done them both. I do them to the top of my head, skull crushers. I don't, because my shoulders, sometimes they feel like they're impinged. I don't like going to the forehead or nose breakers. I like going to the top of my head. I feel like I get a good stretch. I can keep the tension on, but you got to play around and see what works for you. Craving some pizza and Coke and left the room to get in his estrogen fix. Brad has a pretty good bench press. Yeah, I think Brad was doing 315 on decline for reps back in the day, if I'm not mistaken. That's pretty decent. I say nothing these days, Edgar, if I see an attractive female in the gym. And it's few and far between at the times in the gym I've been going to. So it's nice to look. I'm sure it has some sort of effect in your body. Get your maybe a little spurt of test, an increase at a momentary increase or something. I'm sure it does something. I commented, nice place to stand, to two broccoli heads as they were standing in front of me in the mirror while doing seated military press. Another broccoli told me, you can't talk to them like that. Do you ever mention your 650 bench in day-to-day conversation? Only if the subject comes up. I don't, but rarely. Few and far between these days. But most of the time it was somebody like my friend Jeff that passed away 2.5 years ago would say, this guy did 650. Like, I wouldn't tell the guys in the gym. They thought I was just some washed up nobody. But if they were powerlifters, he brought it up. And then I'd show them the video in case they were doubting, but I don't bring it up really that much. Mr. Wickberg, how's it going? You still out in Arizona? Texas Sam, what's up? If I knew what was up, I'd stay down. Who's this Dub Life? I think I can make an educated guess, but if anybody knows for sure. Why do you guys keep saying Brad was dissing me in his live? I watched most of it. I did have to skip through some parts and pause it, so I may have missed, but I don't, based off like what you guys said earlier, I take it with a grain of salt. It's no big deal. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. And a lot of if Brad was commenting on me, it's just like how people asked me earlier why Prince Andrew's loyal to Jay. I don't know them that well to be able to comment. And Brad's met me 3 or 4 times in person in isolated, occasions. So you can't really, it's his opinion. Yeah, I know he said that about the group chat, but I don't think he was dissing me or saying anything negative, and I wouldn't care anyway if he did. It's whatever. But it was like Lenny will send us stuff all the time. And one day, a couple of weeks ago, Lenny and Brad were going back and forth a good while on text. I just read the text. I didn't say anything. Nah, I don't think their friendship would end, Johnny B, Lenny and Brad. It's just like brothers quarreling. Brad loves gossip. I think the opposite, Aristophanes of Athens. He doesn't do many lives anymore. He kind of lays low for whatever reason. Yeah, Prince is great behind the camera. He's very witty. He thinks quick on his feet. He lets the other guys talk, and he knows when to interject. They had a really good dynamic and chemistry. There'll never be anything like it. It will never be duplicated. Did I get a restraining order against Lenny? Yeah, I do Romanian deadlifts occasionally. Like what you mean, more of a stiff-legged deadlift? Yeah, it's a good movement. Jordan Peters, that freak over in the UK, does them. He moves up 7 plates, I think, 6, 7 plates. Yeah, I did hear Brad talk about that. That Jane wants nothing to do with any of the Misfits because of them doxing the uncle. Whatever happened with that? Do I think Prince Andrew had a better physique than Genova using steroids? Yeah, Prince was. Lenny said last time he saw Prince, he's looking bigger than ever. I mean, he's more in shape looking. He's taller. Jason, just besides working with Adam, never really got in great shape. But he has the genetics to do well on a state level. I honestly believe that. Genova, if he put his mind to it, if he was able to focus and do it, I think he'd do well at the state show. What's the best workout for forearms? I think not relying too much on lifting straps would help build a lot of forearm size. I did back with Stefan as a secret layer today. My forearms were pumped to the gills because I didn't use the straps hardly at all, really. So you could do the reverse curls and the wrist curls and all that if you like really getting a pump in there. But I think look at Dorian's. I mean, I just think doing those heavy sets and heavy workup sets of rows and back work without straps, and then really only using them when you need them, I think it'll build your forearms. Or you could do dead hangs from a pull-up bar. And I think the easy curl bar and hammer curls, that's going to work more forearms. Does my friend know about the Misfits? Yeah. His girlfriend sent him a Transformex Red. The I guess he did an Instagram of footage of Lenny's apartment when he was living down in Delray, the frying pan he put in the freezer. So even his girlfriend sent him this because I've talked about Lenny and I have the sticker on my one of the shaker cups I bring over there that just needs mopped. So he knows about him. Do I think calves and forearms are correlated? Yeah, supposedly I read something that your neck, your forearms, and your calves should all measure the same size if you're really well proportioned, but I don't know where that came from. But Genova, look at his forearms and calves. You can't deny him. They were good body parts for him. Sue Danner. Who and what is a Sue Danner? Like from the Sudan? Brad never shared with the mud golem. But when I was talking with Stefan today, and he showed me the video with the nasty frying pan where Lenny said there was maggots in it, he even said he's probably onto something. It's why he never got sick or anything. Sue Dinger, yeah. Trashy, not attractive at all. And I was on a lot of gear then, too. What's a sand PM? Ugly as sin. Sue Dinger. Thoughts on Mike Pence running for president? He's got no chance in my book. He's a good Christian man, but I think he lacks the pizzazz of a Trump, of a DeSantis. I like Vivek Ramaswamy. I think he's articulate. I think we need somebody like that, a younger guy. He's anti-woke, but he's not going to get it. And I don't think Trump can win, honestly, if he gets the nominee. I mean, just look what happened last time. I'm 205, 210, Chase Hunt. I look good with a pump. My back still looks pretty good. I mean, my chest and shoulders, if I get a good pump, are pretty round and striated. So I guess I do have decent genetics because, I mean, think about it. I haven't hardly touched gear in the last 8+ years. So Kennedy versus Trump, yeah, that'd be interesting. Tori Wilson or Trish Stratus. They're both really hot. I'd go with Tori Wilson. Stacy Keebler. Lita was hot too. She reminded me of what do they call them? Like one of them gothic chicks with the black nail polish. But Stacy Keebler, yeah, she was smoking, real tall, nice long tan legs. Those were the days. I used to love watching wrestling back then. Yeah. Whatever happened to Stacy Keebler and Trish Stratus and them? Yeah, Kennedy, Trump, DeSantis. It may boil down to those three. You're probably right. We've already debunked that, real Tev. That Brad didn't say I was Lenny's lapdog. And even if he did, I addressed it earlier that I only have myself to blame for not putting myself in a better position in life. But whatever. I'll get a dog one day, PJ. Once Bootsy passes, because she's so old, set in her ways. I'd hate to expose her to one now, but I do want to get a dog. Yeah, Sunny was pretty hot in her prime. All those girls have Instagram butters. All those ex-wrestler girls. Ugh. Yeah, that was a funny video when Brad was with Genova telling him to cut his long toenail out in that parking lot. A lot of women, yeah, they don't age well for some reason. They're the most beautiful when they're younger, and just I don't know what it is. Who was the Joe Pesci lookalike? I forgot his name, but we had Teresa's panties, a Jamaican lady that looked like Serena Williams. I had them hanging from my rearview mirror like an idiot. And we used to lean up against my truck and talk to people outside the World Gym parking lot. And I was like, here, smell these. You got something for me, big man? Yeah, I own a firearm. I got a little Ruger 9mm. I plan on adding more eventually. One for each hip, if you catch my drift. I never got a dog because I had a job previously that I was 13 to 14 hour shifts. So you got to walk them. Plus, I was I hate the idea of confining them to a little apartment. It's sin to hire an escort. Yeah, it's fornication, possibly, adultery. She could be married, but it's no different than any other sin, and you handle it the same way. The repercussions may be more because you're cleaving to another body, so there's potential for impregnation, disease, but you confess it to God, name it, cite it that it's a sin, and you move on. D-Ball Debbie was, I think she was a wrestler. I think she was in the WWE. But I think the trolls ran her off too when she got involved with Genova. Genova could have used his toenail as a protein powder scoop. Yeah, that's a good one. He should have come up with that. Do I ever get the itch to get huge again? No, because I can't. I wouldn't last very long taking the necessary things to get like that. If I had clearer arteries, heck yeah, I would have the itch to do it. She probably would, to be honest, PJ. D-Ball Debbie would. She'd probably beat Lenny in a bodybuilding show just because of the stomach. He would lose so many points. Of course, he would outsize her, but conditioning and symmetry and proportion, yeah, that's what they judge on. So, yeah, she would win. Can I tell the story of the guy that tried to squat my weight and snapped his ankle like a twig? I don't know who he was. He had spandex, kind of haircut like Brad, but longer and slicked back. He just started showing up at the gym out of nowhere, in the prime time hours. And I was just working up to my top set of squats, but I was at 4 plates, and the guy got the bright idea to come over and do it cold. And then he wanted me to spot him, and I don't know his rhythm or his groove or how low he's going down on the squat. He dive bombs it, and I'm just standing there. I just told him to dump it. What does he expect me to do? Upright row, 4 plates? And he snapped his ankle. And then Lenny saw him hobbling around the Boynton Beach Mall, and he was like bad-mouthing me, saying I should have done something. And I don't think I saw him again after that. He disappeared. Yeah, I used to make my own tren acetate from the Phenoplex pellets. I was telling my training partner that I used to order it from the back of the magazines. And I remember watching the first, what was the UFC show on Spike TV? The very first season with that epic fight with Stephan Bonner and Forrest Griffin or whatever. And I was filtering the stuff in my bedroom in my apartment in Boynton Beach. I was living with an Asian guy. But yeah, that's how I had to resort to getting tren back then, was making my own. No, he looked athletic, like he was a 6'2", maybe 215, 220. He had decent legs, but it was just bizarre. He went in there cold, dive bomb to the rock bottom, and he couldn't get up. Spot me, bro. Yeah, the Ultimate Fighter, the first season. Yeah, I'll never forget making tren, watching that. That's like what put them on the map because the fights were so good, and it went all 3 rounds or whatever it was. Forrest Griffin and Stephan Bonner. I don't know what happened. He didn't say call 911. After that, it's a blur. I don't know what. I think we went our own way and trained. He got out of there somehow. I don't think the paramedics came and got him. Stephan Bonner passed away. I think I actually think I remember that. Brad's busy watching UFC with a beer and his Affliction shirt on. That's right, Aristophanes. This wasn't enough. D-Ball Debbie stack, steroid stack. Probably no different than a lot of top pros, but maybe less test, I'm sure. I don't know, maybe some orals, EQ. Favorite fighters, I like Phil Baroni, and I like Shamrock. I like even the ones that predated that Ultimate Fighter show. But yeah, Shamrock, Dan Severn. I like Fedor Emelianenko, I think his name was. The Russian guy was pretty good. Andrei Arlovsky, he was pretty good. Is it bad to stack SARMs on TRT? You probably get good results. Rad 140 worked well when I took it, but the others I didn't see any results. But it's no different than stacking an oral or another injectable. But the SARMs I know is going to destroy your lipids. So it's going to raise your LDL and lower your HDL, that's for sure. Phil Baroni, you don't remember him? I think he was from New York, Italian guy. He looked like he was juiced up too. I like Equipoise, always got good results. The first thing I ever took when I was 17 was Equipoise and Winstrol from a big Venezuelan guy up in West Palm Beach. And he said, "Eat, my friend, grow. Eat and grow." For $100,000, would I get in the ring with a prime Mike Tyson for 12 rounds? I don't think I would last 12 rounds with a prime Mike Tyson. Top boxers didn't last more than 30 seconds with the guy. No, it'd have to be more money than that. I think I could ilk more money out of Don King than 100 grand. The biggest animal I think I could defeat in combat. I don't know. A raccoon messed this guy up pretty bad one side. I was working at a Club Peekaboo strip club in Lake Worth. I was inside, and one of the bouncers outside said some hick went over to the dumpster and said, "Watch this, y'all." Tried to pick up a raccoon that was in a dumpster, and the thing ripped him to pieces. And that's a little 15-pound animal. So anything with claws and teeth like that, it's a wild animal. Think about it. They have to fight for their lives every day. So even an 80 pounds, whatever, a panther would probably mess me up. I don't know. It's a good question. Maybe a little bear or a little monkey, like a little gorilla or something, probably. But the animals are so much stronger than we are. So we need to get a shirt that says that. Eat, my friend, grow, eat. I think the maniacs would like it. No, we're just telling I was talking about that today, PJ, that when Lenny and I bounce, no, we're just that sheer size. And you think the one person that would beat us or give us a good match would be a well-trained fighter with some size himself, but they're not going to go look for a fight. So, but it was just ridiculous size at the time that thankfully, I mean, I guess it's a blessing in a way because you never know who would have pulled out a gun and blown us away back then. Glad to hear it, Chase Hunt. Got your nice little black cat. Good for you. They're addicting once you get one. Komodo dragon. No, I mean their skin is so leather-like. It'd be, like sandpaper skin. How would a human with their bare hands penetrate the skin of a Komodo dragon? It'd probably just be a stalemate. You'd probably run away from the thing, dodge it, or get on its back like a gator and like corral it, but you're not going to be able to do serious damage to it. I mean, their skin is probably like you could punch it and kick it. I don't know how much damage you're going to do. Those things are pretty big. The tail smacks you, you're going to be hurting. No, I didn't bodyguard for 50 Cent, but we worked a Trick Daddy concert in South Beach. And then there was this loudmouth little Indian guy called himself Bad Boy. And I worked at a club till 2 a.m. on Delray Avenue, and he would pay me $100 to go out with him to an after hours bar, and he'd buy me a steak dinner, let me drive his Range Rover with he'd be in the back with his girls. But something he never asked me to do, I would not do it, is go into a stall and tell some guy to get out of there because this guy wants to have sex with this girl. He had other guys do it, but thankfully he never asked me because I wasn't going to do that. But he called himself Bad Boy, Bad Boy. Yeah, the Komodo dragon's mouth, you know how much bacteria is in there with that saliva dripping out of their mouth? Way to go, L70, 265 for 5. The video, the bench video. Yeah, it is a lot of size. That's looking back, how I look now when I look at that, it's hard to believe I'm the same person that was walking around at 340. Do I agree that Mike O'Hearn has the best 55-year-old physique ever? Who knows, because there's so many people we haven't seen that are 55 and have good physiques, but he's just so well known. But yeah, he looks really good for a 55. I mean, I got 10 years to go. Hopefully I could look like that. I'm disgusted by that chase hunt, them saying that they're coming for our children. Yeah. This country better shape up quick or it's going down the tubes. Yeah, I think PJ Braun, he would have beat me if we were both in our prime. He had a better physique than me, a little better legs. He had pretty good size too. So, well, that bottle I got at 17 was a 50cc bottle of Ganabol from South America, veterinary grade equipoise, 50 milligrams a cc, and I was doing it every other day. So I did it for 8 to 12 weeks, and I got strong. My sprint speed was crazy. Of course, it's possible for Jay to not be a crybaby through prayer. Prayer and studying the scripture can correct us, sort us out of many of our bad habits and bad attributes. Who is your current favorite size bodybuilder that you can have? I think Hottie looks really good. I like his physique. I always like Branch Warren, Gustavo Bedell. I like Dennis James. Who else? Mike Matarazzo. Kevin Levrone, he was one of my favorites. I was raised Catholic, Gabbett, but when I got away from that, and then I'd say in 2008, I became a born again Christian believer. So I would consider myself non-denominational or evangelical Christian. Some of the Catholic doctrines are just totally different, even from Christian. The various Christian denominations are so different from each other in their doctrine. Some believe in speaking in tongues, some don't. Tithing, you need to get water baptized. You don't. It's just, so I don't know. I'm not part of any denomination like Baptist, Methodist, Lutheran. They all seem to have like slightly different doctrines. How close to the end times are we, in my opinion? I think it's in our lifetime. I'm 45. I think it could happen in our lifetime, honestly. Because it goes beyond just some savior coming through a political election. To me, it has to take, there has to be a spiritual revival, and I just don't see it. Hopefully I'm wrong, but yeah, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. I read that at my brother's funeral in 2010. That was one of the passages I read. No, I never tried Zercher squats. This is how I did front squats with the bar on my neck and upper chest. I never tried. I don't have the flexibility, I don't think, to do that. Your parents forced you into Benny Hinn? How so, Broadway? Turturos, I think you're wrong because the churches I follow and study under, they really study from the original text of Scripture. So like Greek, Hebrew, Aramaic, and I like that they cite a lot of translations from the original text, so you get more meaning, the true meaning that has been, it's totally different once it gets to the English language. Like, for example, when Jesus was talking about discipleship and he says, you have to hate your father, mother, etc. Really, that word hate in the original language means love less in comparison to how you love Jesus Christ. So stuff like that. There's many different meanings for the word love in the original language compared to how we use it. So side effects from EQ. Well, really, I mean, like a lot of them, your hemoglobin, your red blood cell count goes up. So I guess potential for clotting. It'll shut you down, your own production, of course. But I'm not sure how it affects your joints. EQ, either good, bad, or indifferent. But Winstrol, yeah, is known. You saw what happened. Jay said he was taking it when he blew his knees out. It's not the best thing for heavy lifting, that's for sure. I don't remember any MMA fighters back then when Lenny and I were training. It wasn't as big as it is now. This was, late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, you had the original UFC with Ken Shamrock and Gracie, and then it seemed to me like to disappear or fall off the map until the Ultimate Fighter in the mid 2000s. So there was really none that I knew of back then. Sammy Sosa, yeah, he was on juice. What was Boston Lloyd's stack? I don't know. I probably did something similar to what he did. How many reps of 315 on squats could I do in my prime? Well, 2018, when I was past my prime, I was doing it for 20. So I don't know. There's no telling how many I could have done when I was as big and heavy as 340 when I did the big bench. Yeah, I'll check out the Jim Caviezel movie, Sound of Freedom. I like him. He was excellent in Passion of the Christ. Thoughts on Triple H? I thought he had a decent physique. I liked his shtick was good. I think I was watching something the other day where that show that was on MTV where the Triple H was in the original episode with the guys that were wanting to become wrestlers. Like, what was the guy? Maven. It was like a mulatto black guy. He got in. Triple H was telling him to take a bump and get in their face. And then he was bad mouthing Goldberg in the episode too. I just saw something the other day about that, but yeah, he was a great entertainer. Triple H, he's one of the best wrestlers, I'd say. I've had heel spurs from exercise, but not plantar fasciitis. Maven, yeah, that was his name. Yeah, I could tell who's on gear and who's not very easily. Especially the older guys, like Jay was talking about one of his videos that are on TRT, and they try to go in and bench a lot of weight to impress the young kids. The older guys with money, they get like a red hue to their skin, bloated face. They have just a weird look to their muscles. Like, I'd always point them out. Tough Enough, yeah, that was it. Lenny, when's he going to go scorched earth on Brad, Daniel? That's the scuttlebutt here in the chat tonight. Of course, Chase. Every day there's a battle in your mind. You're going to have temptations, lust, envy. Gossip is a sin too, talking about other people. Worry is a sin. So, like I said, you just when the guy asked about the escort earlier, you confess it to God. You meditate on the scriptures, to get that in your mind and your soul to fight off those temptations. Remember, that's how Jesus Christ fought off Satan tempting him, was quoting scripture. So how come most steroid users have the real red glow to their skin? I never got like that, but a lot of guys I noticed they're red. Thankfully I never got acne. Some guys get bad acne. But usually there's more receptors in the shoulders, neck, and traps. So that's the first thing to grow on somebody when they're on gear. Even if they're not training those body parts properly, I could tell. Yeah, the blood volume goes up too, but I never got red like that. I don't know. Neither did Lenny, really. Lenny got nosebleeds. I had the perfect physique, my health. Back then, the silent killer was growing in me. High blood pressure, clogged arteries. That's what I live with now, but other than that, I'm in good health. Yeah, you can go every 8 weeks to donate blood. Just in general, whether you're on TRT or if you just naturally have high hemoglobin hematocrit, you could do it every 8 weeks. That's how frequent I do it. Exactly. My traps wouldn't look like this if I was on. My shoulders would be rounder. My neck would be 2 inches bigger. Yeah, Austin was good on the mic. I didn't really care for the Rock's shtick on the mic, but he was good. He worked the crowd. I always liked the Road Warrior promos, honestly, the old AWA and NWA days. That's right. God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. Amen. Well said. Anybody, we'll leave it at this, but this guy wants a good non-cookie cutter pickup line to use at a Hick bar tomorrow night. Anybody have a response that I can give him before we close for the evening? How about this? Ask her, are you from Nashville? And she'll be like, why? You'll be like, because you're the only 10 I see. Say that to her. My buddy's garage gym, he's been accumulating the equipment for a while. I don't know how much he's paid for everything. I haven't asked him. You look like trash. Can I take you out? That's a good one. Are you a 10, 10, 10? You know how you would look on. You know what would look good on you? Me. You tell her that. Do I think Mike O'Hearn is on more than TRT? I don't know. I honestly haven't seen him lately. That's all the rumor mill that they say about the guy. Who knows? But I'm going to call it a night, guys. Thanks for joining. Thanks for the donations, the fellowship. Until next time, I think I'm going to have a nice treat for you guys in August. A special visitor may be coming to the secret lair, so stay tuned. We're going to collab with this person and train with them. Everybody have a good night or a good day, no matter where you are. Take care.